Colleen, Haggie, reads books for you. All kinds of books. Books for children and books for grown-ups. So grab yourself something to drink with a light snack, and then lean back and listen as Haggie reads for you on Haggie Shack Radio. That's HaggieShack.com.
Hi everyone, this is Colleen, and this is Haggie Reads for You on Haggie Shack Radio at HaggieShack.com, simulcast to Wolf Spirit Radio. And today, I'm going to read a book called Barefoot at Heart, The Alchemy of Love and the Power of Light, by Sandy Joan. Dedicated to the fearless, victorious, beloved child that brought me home. Acknowledgements. How beautiful upon the mountains are the feet of those who bring good tidings, who publish peace, who announce good news, and proclaim salvation and say to Zion, your God reigns. That's Isaiah 52:7. Finally, after many years of knowing I was supposed to write a book, I've done it. But I want you to know, I could not have done it without every one of you standing here with your feet upon this sweet mountain with me. My sincere and deepest gratitude to each and every one. I thank my sweet daughter Alex, who has been like an angel to me in every way. She is the girl with the answers and the know-how. She is an amazing woman, working patiently with me to get this book perfected. And thanks to her dear husband, Stefan, for being there for both of us with his calm and grounded support. Also, my daughter Nicole, for reading with an objective eye. Her intelligence and kindness work magic. She is a wonderful teacher, always allowing me to be who I am, accepting all of my idiosyncrasy with love and wit. And my son Thomas, for his strength, honesty, and humor. I thank him for believing in me and trusting that I would arrive at something sagacious and wonderful by doing it my way. My friend Donovan Moore for his insight and brilliance. He was the spark that set me on fire to finally write this book. His generosity, knowledge, and guidance have been magic. I include Rich Hay, who appreciated and encouraged me to share my wisdom, and Adrian for her kind support and her love for me, standing by me as a loyal friend. Dear Angie Cheney, who created William's YouTube channel. She brings us such delight because she found the child. She trusted me. She trusted her own inner guidance. And it's a joy to see her shine. Also, a thank you to Rick Archer for hosting my interview on Buddha at the gas pump. That was an enormous gift to me and to William Samuel's work. And to my friends Doug Manley, Lachlan French, John Weekly, Brian Hicks, and John Bailey. They have all been helpful while teaching me so much. Then, of course, there is William Samuel, who blessed me with his foresight and inspiration, guiding me to rediscover the child within. Without the child, none of this would have fallen into place as it did. Without the child, I'd not be who I am. With deepest love for my precious husband, Jonesy, whose love continues to bestow upon me the ways and ability to do all I am given to do in the days to come. And I thank the ungovernable child of me. How I adore her. She sits next to God, and I can thank God for his love for me and the child I am. Contents. 1. Prophecy in Old Letters. 2. Synergy. 3. Overtone. 4. Come to think of it. 5. Unbound Love. 6. Stormy Seas. 7. In the Stars. 8. 4 a.m. 9. Black Leathers. And Chapter 10. Rockets. The way to tell it is to be it. When we be it, we tell it with the most wondrous effectiveness. Chapter 1. Prophecy and Old Letters. The aspen tree had turned golden and orange, shimmering and sparkling in the clear, high mountain sunshine. The weather hadn't brought snow as of yet. The air was icy, but the sun was keeping me warm. It was an early September day, 1996. I was sitting on my porch in Aspen, rewriting some old letters to me from William Samuel. William was my spiritual guide and teacher for over 20 years. We corresponded often through letters. Much of what he wrote to me, I see now, was very prophetic. He did indeed have the gifts of a visionary. His words to me eventually did come to fruition. He was a true master. I was blessed to know him. The thing I really loved about William's teachings was that he always told me to look within my own heart. He would point me back to the childlike soul of myself. He said this tranquility is acquired not through step-by-step methods, but rather by simplicity and honesty in a childlike. Back then, I was still searching. I knew he was right. I wanted to find this unfettered joy and peace he spoke of. I listened to him. I understood what this wise man was telling me, but I didn't have the whole picture yet. His letters to me implied that I was entwined in some kind of destiny. I could not see how my life and my purpose would all unfold. Now, these years later, now I know, and now I understand entirely. So, there I was on the porch reading his words of wisdom and encouragement, and trying to glean all the insights I could, trying to go over every word to see if there was some clue that I may have missed, some deep meaning I'd not seen before. I had no idea then that the road I was on would require me to walk through such pain, sorrow, and loss. Now I see what William knew exactly that would be required of me. Over the years he often told me I had to keep trusting myself, trusting my heart. I did the best I could. Reading William's letters again, he said, "Whatever you do, dear Sandy, trust the inner guide that leads you. It will lead you aright." He told me to praise all that has led me to it. In that, now I see, I had to one day give thanks for all the things that broke my heart, the sorrow that tore me wide open, and the anguish that took me down. William said to me, "You will find the words for those ideas and visions that transcend humankind, and you will give your light to those who come to you." He said, "They will come. You will be prepared for the eventuality." At the time I read that, I never considered that being prepared would entail facing the dark with nowhere to hide. As I read those words over again, I was filled with wonder and doubt. I found the idea of a destiny enchanting, and it felt true to my heart. But I didn't know what it would take to uncover and discover this raw, vulnerable, supernal essence of myself. Well, now, these years later, now that I understand, it all makes sense in a whole new light. William knew I would have to walk, test, experience, and live those things he spoke of. I had to live all that has transpired. He told me, within a few years, your knowledge of the child within will be a saving grace to the world. William's words were staggering statements I couldn't even consider at the time. I knew he knew something that I didn't know. I knew I could trust his words, but I had no idea what was up ahead. You must learn your lessons well, Sandy. There will be quite a work in store for you. I couldn't imagine. The travel of the river of life won't be easy, but you will make it. And more, you will chart the course and mark it on the map so that others can make the twists and turns beyond the shallows and sandbars and old shoals where the rocks are. It turns out I had to learn how to get myself out of the old shoals and shallows before I could show anyone else how to ride this river of life. No, it was not easy. It was treacherous, but I did make it. I didn't understand all he was telling me, so I often read again his most generous letters that he sent me over the years of our friendship. He wrote with such respect and love for me. Now, finally, as I write this book, all these years later, I know what he was saying, and I know he was right. I have made my way to the peak, to the place where I can soar free. Now I can map my own chart and give what I can of myself to you. I can share my journey the way it was for me. I can give you my heart and my love. By simply expressing this light of the child's way, I can be the cheerleader, championing you to the victory of finding the unbound freedom, peace and joy within yourself. I write this book from the child's heart that I have found. I write this from the grace, eternal light, and true love that saved me. There is nothing more wonderful than to find this love and joy that comes to us from our original childlikeness, because it makes all things new. There is a light and peace that is real and heals all things. It is the child that lives. It is the delight and joy of the child that writes this book with me and shines her love here. Perhaps through my words I will strike a chord in your heart too, so you can remember the eternal light and love that is the living truth of you. I will do my best to string the words just right and sing my own song in a way that might awaken the child within you, too. Chart the journey. I realize now, all these years later, our spiritual journey of life has 3 phases, 3 steps to it. Long steps, perhaps, but 3 steps, if we do it right, if we're willing to yield to the sweet mystery. Though there are ongoing changes at every moment, this symphony of life seems to have one grand melody in the overtone of a three-part song. The three-part song goes something like this. We are children first, carefree and innocent. The child of us is free-spirited and fearless, unconcerned with the adult world of things. As children, we live in a wonderland, directly enjoying life just the way it is. Then we grow, and bit by bit we become adults. As adults, we lose our childlike wonder and become logical and reasoning. Our conceptual thinking takes over. Our purity of heart and our innocence gets covered up and put away. Our fearless wonder and imagination is now buried deep within us. As adults, we struggle with life. We are no longer free and unafraid. We think we are intelligent. We now see life as separate and apart from us. We see life as a possession of the body. The third part of the song is the return to peace, the holy ground, the Shekinah. This comes when we rediscover, return, and claim our own pristine childlikeness once again. More, we actually become that child again, but this time knowing who we are. This time recognizing the gift as the innocence and purity of the real and holy child that we are. This time fully aware of what we almost lost and rejoicing in the pure joy of having the child's unbound awareness return to us, as us, living in peace and happy laughter once again. Little melody. As children in linear time, we are bright and charming and unafraid. We were funny and cute, bold and brave, guiltless and unashamed. We had a mind of our own and wanted to do things our way. We didn't want Mommy or Daddy to tell us what to do, and we liked it when we felt self-reliant. We were curious and inventive, creative and carefree. We were also innately kind and giving, tender and caring. That's how it was for me. I was a happy little girl. I loved life and the engaging, everyday things. I loved my big gray cat. I loved my teddy bear, my cowboy boots, my twirly skirt. I loved to dance and laugh. I loved the stories and songs I would play on my little record player. I remember I was only a baby, no more than 3 years old, and I would sit on the floor upon the green woven cotton rug and listen intently to the story of Celeste, the Little Melody. It was an old used record my mother brought me from the Goodwill. She loved rummaging the second-hand stores for rare treasures, and she often found them. I would play that beat-up 78 over and over again. I listened to that musical story, enchanted by the tale of adventure and love, Celeste and the Singing City, and the charming Prince Cello. I would gaze delighted at the pictures on the record cover. My imagination was so vivid and alive. There was the police whistle, the little brown mouse, the knights and the big fat cook, and Celeste, sweet Celeste, the beautiful lonesome little tune. She just couldn't belong to anybody. One day, Celeste heard of a far-off city where everybody had a melody all their own. That's the place for me. So off she went to the singing city. As a little child just sitting there on the living room rug, my mind and my heart were captivated as I listened to the sounds, the music, all the instruments of the orchestra. My imagination felt the characters come alive. Well, yes, we are all delighted, innocent children first. It goes like this for every one of us. Children are beautiful little souls in heart and spirit. The cover-up. Then, little by little, we find out things are not as we think they are. We begin to grow up, compare, learn to make judgments, and get afraid of making mistakes or looking foolish. We hide the child. We put her away. We bury her somewhere deep inside of us. For me, I do believe the covering up of my divine innocence and light began when I started going to school. I was eager and enthusiastic at first. I wanted to answer the questions the teacher asked, and found myself so dismayed when I was told my answer was wrong. I felt fear. I felt wrong for the first time. I felt ashamed. I stopped raising my hand to answer. I began to hide my unique individuality. I looked around, and I wanted to be like the other kids. Yes, somewhere it begins. We start comparing ourselves. Realizing I was not doing quite as well in my studies as the other kids. Feeling as if the teacher liked the other children more. As if they had something I needed to have. And, well, little did I know, they were learning to think the same things I was. They, too, were bearing their own childlike wonder and divine beauty and individuality. Some of them may have learned to play the role of adult a little faster, but they, too, were losing the sweet life of the holy child as they tried to fit in. So on it goes. It is the way it goes. We just start growing up, and little by little, the pristine, innocent beauty of the child gets covered, muzzled, hidden, wrapped up, and buried deep within us. Our childlike wonder and our divine light goes dim, smothered under the cloak of adulthood. We forget what it even felt like to be a child. All of that is just as it's supposed to be. As Henry David Thoreau said, not until we are lost do we begin to understand ourselves. Eventually, slowly, imperceptibly, not even really noticing it, I was no longer the carefree, bold little girl I once was. And so my spiritual soul-searching began. I was tender and wanted to be strong. I didn't realize how very beautiful that tenderness was. I wanted to be free, to be myself, the person I used to be. But I had lost myself, it seemed. Of course, that is what happens when the adult conceptual mind takes over. We lose our connection to our own inner free spirit, our light, the wholeness and beauty of ourself, and our truth. Eventually, I adjusted, and the ways of the adults became just fine by me. I learned to fit in, and fit in very nicely. But my search for truth continued. The search for God, asking the perennial questions, had begun. Return to the child. I learned that every mortal will taste death, but only some will taste life. Rumi. My good intentions along with my destiny led me to a man, a spiritual teacher, a master metaphysician, a teacher's teacher, who would show me the way back to exactly what I was looking for, myself, the child, reality, identity, and peace. This master teacher's name was William Samuel. He became my guide, my mentor, and my very dear friend. He told me our only hope to know an unknowable God comes from a thorough knowledge of the self, which is made in God's image and likeness. How else can ineffability be understood, if not by the thorough knowledge of the entity made in its image? We are always coming back to the self. Thus, because of him, because of my sincerity and honesty, because of the love that was deep within me, because of that little light of optimism that never went out, I did find the direction. I did find my way back. The answers came when I returned to myself. I returned to the pristine peace and tranquility of my childlike heart and soul. I reclaimed the little girl I was, and she was very willing to take my hand and lead me once again. I discovered this holy child of myself as she sits as close to God as anyone will ever get. She sits at the hem of reality. The wonder and beauty of this childlikeness I found again is so much better, richer, sweeter, easier, and more peaceful, joyous, whole, and familiar than what I thought enlightenment and finding God or truth would be. And this is real. It is real. The child of me was still here, pure and unharmed, still unblemished, innocent and free. Nothing had ever happened to that perfect part of myself. She is with me now, again, all these years later. She comes with many gifts for me. More, she becomes my freedom and my joy. She is my own personal savior. She knows what reality is and what it is not. She knows what is shadow and what is tree, and she lives them both at once. As one, in perfect harmony and love for it all. There is no discarding anything included here in life. There is only to understand and love. Life, wonderful life, is real and not real, both and greater than either. Like my teacher, William Samuel, told me, the return to the child is the return to the Holy Spirit, the Messiah, the light of understanding this world, the return to love. This child knows all about this world and how to navigate its labyrinths. She takes me back to the eternal love, the fearless love I started with. She brings me peace and understanding and unbridled happiness. And yes, she has taken me back home again. Home is now the very heart of the universe entire. It is my joy to share my child heart with you. It is my unrestricted love that wants to chart my journey for you, to remind you of the child you are and always will be. I'd like my story to lead you to your own discovery, allow you to find your original nature, the child that transcends divisions, paradox, and unlimited perceptions. As the child, we find understanding, and the joy of life returns to us once again. Someday, one day, maybe. Because this sweet unbound child has come back to me, I find life to be, once again, so very beautiful and rich and divine. I find that my world feels just like it did when I was a little girl. It is extraordinary and wonderful. This energy of love, this heart that is the child's, calls me to live with the deepest integrity, and it holds me to some of the highest responsibility. I write this book to the holy child of myself, which is the child of you too. I write to the children of the world, who can come alive and live again. I write to all those whom I have been given in this lifetime, to those I love, and as William Samuel said, to the weary travelers down the way who might find me. I write to those who seek true freedom and general liberation through the honest light and living truth of self-discovery. I will tell you what William Samuel told me. He said to trust your own heart, because for you there will never be words more important anywhere than the words that come from yourself, written or spoken. He is exactly right. Alchemy. When I first began the book, I had to just leap in and start writing. I couldn't do it with a plan in mind. I couldn't find the plan. Yet I knew I was called to write. Fortunately, by the time I got to the end of all these words that were unleashed, the end turned out to be the beginning. That always seems to be the way I get somewhere. I start from where I want to go, even though I'm not there. I really don't know how else to do things. I am open, trusting, impulsive, and spontaneous, which can be dangerous. For doing what I don't know how to do, I end up knowing how to do it. I guess that's called learning. I love to learn. When I was about 3 years old, I learned to swim by leaping into the pool totally unafraid. I love the water. Tossing myself into things with sheer abandon is what I do when I'm in love. In love with that swimming pool, I would toddle over to the water and just leap in. My dad would then have to drop everything and jump in that pool and lift me to the side. I actually do remember that. I always seem to recall that it didn't take more than a few leaps, and I was dog paddling on my own. I still live like that. I am in love. Where else can I be? So I just throw myself in and trust that I can do whatever it is I decide to do. Sometimes there's that first moment of, oh no, what have I done? But somehow I rise to the surface, take a breath, and learn. Life lifts me up, holds me, and shows me the way. Now my book is almost finished. The whole unfolding of it turned out to be rather magical. I'm surprised with what has evolved from the rambling explosion of words. Lovely words. Really a profuse beauty pouring from my untamed heart and my illimitable soul. But I had no idea where they were going. I just let them flow. Now, down the road a ways, I've something quite tangible and whole. I can trust my heart, and this always abiding, innate sense of faith in life, being the common denominator, which can never be harmed or changed or lost. It's all synergy and magic. No chronology. There is no chronological timeline or way this self-discovery happened for me. There is no logical order to this unfolding story I present here. Past, present, and future coexist and collide at every moment. Self-discovery, happiness, freedom. It happened on many levels. Gradually, sometimes. Quickly, sometimes in a flash, in the twinkling of an eye. Sometimes slowly, sometimes, but mostly layered, deeply layered. The dawning of light happened just as my teacher said it would. Line upon line, precept upon precept, here a little, there a little. Yet, because I was always this child, it happened all at once. Suddenly, it was clear. I was transformed. I was free. I was always here. I never went away. So the story is multifaceted at once. It cannot be told in any logical or linear way, really. I will give you the heart of the story, the power of the story, the sweet juice of the story. Don't try to organize this story by time or logic. Like a flower that blooms, this flower is already contained in the seed from the beginning. The flower existed in full bloom right inside the seed from the beginning. As I was blooming, I didn't know any of this was happening in the way it did. That's how this self-discovery came to me. It came slowly. It came at many levels. It came horizontally sometimes, vertically at other times. It came from within and it came from out there somewhere, offered to me from others, brought to me through love, through synchronicity, through life. Often, without even knowing a transformation was happening, it was happening. And one day I was free, completely free. I was the spirit of that little girl skipping along the edge of the water, barefoot on the wet sand at the beach. I was free. Truly. I am that little girl once again. Vitality, beauty, unleashed love, laughter, and enthusiasm move me now. Contradictions and paradoxes no longer exist. Yet they are all included, and I include them in my words. Because the infinite is not limited to logic and reason. It is illimitable, beyond logic and reason. It is an ongoing mystery. Logic and reason are not thrown out, but they often yield to the heart. Living from the heart is living from the unabashed, random, intuitive, illogical, wild joy of this mystery. The infinite can't be limited. It would not be infinite if it was bound only to making sense or fitting into anything orderly or disciplined. Yes, the truth is all those things, but it has to be more, and greater than more, because God, divine mind, is illimitable, and cannot be confined to any point of view. So the living truth is also random, and scattered in aimless wonder and without purpose. It is not logical. All means all. I find this unbridled realization to be the freedom of my laughter and delight. I love life in all its infinite, uncensored, haphazard, childlike, untamed beauty. I am seeing life from on high, as I see the wide range of so much, as it is all-inclusive below me. I stand here between heaven and earth. Here it is, both. Always both, and yet one. And the paradox vanishes into thin air. Here, included in my view, I can see that all the paths, the many paths, every path, any path, leads up to the same exact point on the mountain, here where I am, here, where the true self stands unbound and free. Magnetic wonders. Magnetism, it's all magnetic. The world is magnetic. Life, I notice now, seduces me, allures me, wants me. Life's beauty is irresistible. Life is to be experienced, felt, and enjoyed. Now I listen to my heart, my soul, my 5 senses that keep me in touch with my world. I am all these sensations, and I am more than this body. I have more than 5 senses, too. I am a combination of sensuosity and an alchemy of love. I am intuitive. I have 6 senses, and I have even more as each sense combines to make greater magic. It is a kind of feeling I feel. Something tells me, and I have learned to trust it. Throughout my life, I have been pulled toward exceptional people, and they towards me. People are magnetic. Magnets hold information. This unseen, unspoken information is exchanged between us. I am captivated. The attraction is mutual. My life unfolded the way it did because of these marvelous attractions to uncommon and exceptional people. I am quite sure these magical and transformational relationships were written before time, written in heaven, meant to be. I love them all. They are part of me, and in my heart always. I can see this world is intelligent, all-knowing, and mystical. This world is a world of love, beauty, and ongoing, flowing light of information. This ineffable, divine intelligence, being this light in life, knows what we need, and it knows how to bring these things to us. I sense that the good and loving people in my life have been with me for many lifetimes. They return to me, and I to them. Love connects us. Love is the magnetic pull. We are here for each other, to give and guide and help each other if we need. I can see those I have loved always return to me. We find each other throughout the many lifetimes. There is an eternal bond of love that seems to magnetize, pull us together through each new lifetime. You are here in my life as the tangible depiction of love, as I am for you. This world of body, form, matter, is perfect, and to be cherished. We really are here to love one another, and our world as ourselves. It's easy when you understand it. In order to leap in and do what I am here to do, peace and honesty are essential. This living equanimity and integrity has found me. I have no fear. I feel the bright sunshine in a clear wakefulness of something wonderful unfolding, and I am feeling urged to complete this interface now, to fulfill my destiny. Untamed wildflowers. And this might be helpful to know. I'm really not and anything, not left or right. I have no political affiliation. I belong to no organized religion or ideology, Eastern or Western. Well, I kinda have my own unorganized theology that sits in my heart, like a welcoming garden of rambling, untamed wildflowers. I am fond of not being fenced in. I don't follow Buddhism or any other ism. I am, at this point in my life, just one big open heart. I am living a sort of undefined love, and I love this world of mine. I am not afraid to be who I am. I am here to bring you my heart, however that might transpire. I realize, since doing this for some time now, that this world loves me back and brings me all I need for whatever sweet purpose I might serve. Words lift the gloom. William's letters were always valuable at nudging me toward myself. It took me many years to find my own way of sharing what I understood, but I found it. Words are powerful. Words can illustrate ideas so that others might climb this starry ladder to the higher light of self and find a grand new joy. There are words that can reveal the joy and light often hidden behind the intellect. As William said, reading for information is an effort, but reading for confirmation is joy. I write because I love you. January 7, 1982. How to answer such a lovely letter, dear Sandy. Write from your journal notebook. Truth, restricted to writing and words, is such a small part of truth. It is no wonder you feel that few others would understand. It is difficult to get those words to do justice to such a subject. And there are those who, like some Eastern and Mid-Eastern lights, who wouldn't even think of trying. They may talk about it a bit, but write? Never. But words can crack the shell. Words can lift the gloom of depression. Words can touch us at points that send us on our way happily, more cognizant, more alert, more grateful. I've had a feeling from the first that you would write one day and publish. Please set your cap to do so. You have so much to say that hasn't been said well enough yet. Yes, it works for all problems and difficulties, worldwide and personal. It could save the world, but it seems futile, in some ways, to even think in such grand humanitarian ways. It may seem that way, gentle Sandy, but don't you forget that the world who accepts and rejects and seems to have many minds of its own are all parts of the illusion of separate minds and egos. Really, there is but one point of acceptance or rejection, your own solipsistic selfhood, within which all minds are but your own myriad points of view, all necessary to make plain the many. While we may never see a world where the appearances of egos agree, we can certainly see one where the new idea is introduced, examined, put to the test, and a grand new joy overspread everything. And why not? Why not? The words that I don't find, perhaps you will. The idea I can't illustrate and make clear, you can. So set your cap to write it on the tables, so that those who readeth it may run. I can warn you that this work is not easy. There is heat and light where the fire is struck, But the fuel of that fire is old think, cherished opinions, institutional foundations, monetary systems, and all that the world holds dear. But it doesn't have to be cataclysmic beyond our own personal sense of things. We may jolt the entire dream, but it is only one sleeper who stops dreaming, us. Thank you for your Christmas letter and for the Christmas light it contained. Please write as often as you wish. Tell others of our books. Take care, and keep writing in your journal. Hold tight to the idea of publishing. Tender, honest love. To you and yours, Bill Samuel. Alrighty. I think I'm going to take a break here and put on some music, and I'll see you in just a few moments.